You're listening to the CIP podcast, the Study Abroadcast Season 6, Episode 5. I'm your host, Andrew. I am a CIP peer helper who studied abroad at Linköping University in Sweden during the fall of 2023. In this show, we explore the world of study abroad, offering advice, insights, and travel stories, bridging perspectives and cultures along the way. In this episode, I'll be speaking to three Guelph students who didn't know each other before they all went on exchange, I believe. But we'll talk about that. Who went to Wales, about their experience. So let's just start by doing quick introductions, just like general information, name your program, and what made you want to go on exchange in Wales. Let's start with Lorelei here.
Hi, I'm Lorelei. I'm in my fourth year of geography with a history minor. And I chose to go to Wales because of the location. It was a small university close to the sea, and there was lots of hiking. So it kind of was right up my alley.
Hi, I'm Isabel. I'm in my fourth year of biomedical science. I chose to go to Aberystwyth, Wales for my exchange because it was in the UK and it was really close to the sea and it looked pretty on Google.
Very valid reason. Okay, Isabel.
Hi, I'm Isabel. I'm in my fourth year in a Bachelor of Arts in Science, and I'm studying biochemistry and criminal justice. I chose Aberystwyth because it's a coastal town, and I wanted something kind of tight-knit in a small community, in like a naturist area. So that's why I chose it.
All right, all very good reasons to study abroad in Wales. I said at the beginning that you didn't know each other before you all went abroad. Is that true? And would you be able to describe kind of like how you guys connected?
Yeah, for sure. I would say the Center for International Programs, they sent out an email with everybody's name and contact information a few months before we left. So I think a few of us tried to like reach out and get into contact with each other. Isabel and I, like Izzy and I, ended up connecting, and we met up once beforehand and hit it off, and we both just so happened to not have booked our flights yet, so we booked our flights together, traveled there together, and yeah, we kind of just based off that one meeting met before, and that was about it. But everybody else I hadn't met before going to Aberystwyth.
Were you hoping when you were going into your exchange, were you hoping to meet other students from Guelph? Or I know when I went, I was like, I want to do this by myself, like a solo experience. What were your kind of expectations as far as who you were going to meet or how you were going to approach your exchange? And then how did that like match up to what really happened?
I hid the fact that I was going on exchange from everybody that I knew that I went to university with. And I didn't tell anybody where I was going because I had some friends who were going on exchange as well because I wanted to do it like on my own. I go to school, Guelph is my hometown, so I've been like in a very bubble for like my whole undergrad, so it was really kind of important to me to get out of it. And then I ended up meeting a girl, Faith, who also went with us, who's from Guelph, in my first week at orientation there in Aber. And her and I just happened to hit it off, and she became my very close friend. So I did actually end up like having my closest friend be a Guelph student, but that was like against all odds because I did not set out with that goal in mind. It was actually the opposite.
Would you say that that's a benefit of having other Guelph students with you? Or like what's your kind of perspective on having other Guelph students with you on your exchange experience? And again, anybody can answer this.
I think it was beneficial for the first week because like that first week when you land in a new place is incredibly like disorienting. And so it was nice to have like somebody that felt more comfortable, even if I didn't know her at all or any of the Guelph kids at all. It was nice to know that there were other people there, that it was like they kind of knew where I was coming from. I actually ended up in the emergency room the first night I was in Wales because I was really, really sick and my fever went up like incredibly high. So I think in hindsight it probably would have been nice to have someone to travel with because they call Tylenol a different name in the UK. It was all just very confusing. So that first like week, I think it's really nice to have people to lean on, but at the same time, if you don't know anybody, it forces you to get comfortable with new people pretty quickly. And I think that that's also a very good benefit. So whether you have the support or not, I think it works out either way.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like going on exchange can be like a very isolating experience that doesn't often get talked about. So I'm glad that you said that there. What was the most surprising thing that you found about Wales, whether it be like the university itself, the student life? What were you most shocked by or not expecting?
I think the most surprising thing for me was how seriously the school took societies, which we would call clubs here, but how prevalent the societies were, and how it was integrated into everybody's life. And it honestly, my experience, and I think Lorelai's too, kind of revolved around our involvement in the societies. So we kind of like, we got there was a whole like society fair. They're all like student run. And we ended up joining the kayak club. It was called Aberystwyth Canoe Club, but we were kayaking, and that was a part of our life for the entire semester. And everyone kind of had their own club, so it was like you would meet someone, and they were like, "Oh, it's so and so from this society," or you kind of intertwine with different societies, but everyone kind of had their little like niche, and that also like encouraged us to go out and meet a bunch of people that weren't on exchange. So yeah, that's what surprised me the most. It was a lot different than here.
And with the different societies and the groups and clubs and stuff, did you find that it was easy to connect with a lot of Welsh students, like a lot of locals as well? Or did you guys find that you were more sort of in this exchange student bubble? Because I think a lot of times people kind of find themselves like sticking with the same kind of group of exchange students.
I would say personally, because I like went out and I joined all these different clubs and societies, most of my friend group was all like full-time students that were either from Wales or from other parts of the UK that were attending Aberystwyth like full-time. And that was kind of a goal for me. I wanted to make friends with like other exchange students, but I really wanted to connect with people that were like from the UK or from Wales. And so obviously all the societies made it like super easy to do that because like the camaraderie was just like amazing there.
Yeah, I started out like when I think about my exchange experience, it's almost like split in half. The first half I was in that exchange bubble. I didn't really join any societies right when I got there. And where I was living in residence was all exchange students, like all around me. So I was in the exchange bubble for the first half. And then about halfway through the semester, I ended up going to a soccer game with one of my friends, like one of the exchange students' roommates who was a full-time student. And then it sort of shifted, and I ended up making a bunch of friends that lived in the UK and were full-time students. So it was like split. But I was definitely in the bubble for the first half, and I think that the experience is rich either way, but definitely meeting those people that live there full time was really cool and really it really enriched the experience because they are showing me things and telling me things that I would never have found out about the UK, and like I had a bunch of experiences that I think were only available to me because I made the connections with people who are still there, and now too there's people I can go visit, which is also a really great thing you get out of that. Like you basically like build yourself a little community you can go back and visit because your exchange friends will all scatter all over the world again when it's over, and it's really hard to coordinate a trip to see all of them again because one's in Germany, one's in Australia. Like how's that going to work, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I love being able to have like these little pockets around the world of people that you know and being like, hey, if I know I'm ever in Germany, I can go stay at this person's place and talk to them. So that's totally a huge upside of exchange to me, at least, and being able to meet people from all over the world. Did any of you do much traveling outside of Wales or the UK, or did you mostly like stick to exploring the area that you were in?
Yeah, so I traveled on our Easter long break in the UK. They get 3 weeks, which was super, super nice. So I traveled with Izzy and one of our other exchange friends who was from Victoria. And we tacked on a few days at the beginning and end of those 3 weeks, but that's when we went over to Europe and we did we went to Portugal and Budapest and Romania. So we traveled all there together, staying in hostels, and that was really nice because it was the three of us. So it was a nice small group, and we could rely on each other. So that was really lovely. And then I also spent quite a bit of time in Ireland with my mom. She came to visit me, so that was really nice. And also Scotland. So I hit all the points in the UK. I visited another friend who was on exchange at university in Strathclyde University. So I visited her for some time as well. So really got to kind of go everywhere, which was really nice.
I did 3 trips. I did 15 countries, like all together. I had never been outside of Ontario before I went on exchange, so I kind of went over with a goal, and I succeeded. And so I did like 3 separate trips. Because of where Aberystwyth is, it's so isolated, and it takes like 4 hours on a train, if the train runs properly, to get out. So my thinking was, well, if I get out, I might as well just stay out for a while and then go back. So on our March break, I did a week trip to Ireland with my friend Faith. And then on the Easter trip, I did Italy and Scotland. It just happened that those things happened on the same trip. That's like very not logistically good. And then in June, Aberystwyth lets you keep your student house for an extra month after school is over. So I basically used my room as a locker, and I went to mainland Europe for I think 3.5 weeks. Came back to Aber for a week. So it was definitely a lot of traveling. I think there's from what I've heard from other people before I went on exchange, there's kind of I don't want to say stereotype, but I don't know the other word for it, that like if you go to a small town that's not close to an airport, you can't really travel. I heard that from a lot of people, like beware of the small town, you might get stuck. I did not find that to be the case. If you really want it, you can do it. It just takes a little bit more planning, but it's definitely possible.
I was just gonna add on and say that I started off with a spontaneous weekend trip to Morocco because the flight was $20 Canadian from Birmingham. So there was a lot of spontaneous things. Lorelai and I, as she mentioned, traveled together for 3 weeks over the Easter break, and I ended up meeting my best friend and my sister in Greece at the end of that. And I also did another kind of spontaneous trip to Scotland with a friend that I had met in Aber, which was really nice. And yet, like Isabel said, it is not as hard as it seems to actually get out of Aber. It's just like that one train ride, getting out, and then the world's your oyster kind of thing.
Yeah, great to hear that you guys got up to so much traveling. I totally agree with that. You can travel like despite where you are. The town that I went to in Sweden was relatively small also, but it's just like literally an extra train to Stockholm, and then the world is your oyster from there. Okay, this might be a hard question. I know people tend to struggle with this, but do you guys have a favorite memory from your exchange semester? I know like so much happens. There's so many great things that happen, but do you have a specific memory or something that you will take with you that sticks out?
Yes, there was a day in, I think, May, so when it was like warm enough to swim, where I had a beach day with myself, Faith, and then a bunch of the friends that we had met that lived in Aber like full time, or like went to school in Aber full time. And I just remember the entire day, like getting up in my room and it being so beautiful outside and going down to the beach and like hanging out with these people. I just remember standing on the rocks, like where the sea meets the beach, and just feeling really proud of myself and feeling really grateful, and like just kind of reflecting on the fact that I'd managed to build a life in like 3 months, and I had a group of friends, and I had like the coffee shop that I liked, and I felt like really at home. And my biggest goal when I went over to exchange was to like build some self-confidence for myself and like feel like, you know, I can rely on myself. And I just remember standing there and being so happy, and it being so beautiful because the water is like stunning and the sun was going down, and I was like, I did it. Like, look at that. This is crazy. So definitely hard to pick, but that's, I think, probably top. Also, the water was so cold, like freezing, because it's the sea.
I would say probably a weekend that I spent with AUCC, the kayaking club. Izzy happened to be there as well. We were in North Wales, and we were staying in like a old cabin, and we were whitewater paddling down some rivers. And on the last day, they decided we were gonna just send it down a waterfall, and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty rad. And then we got there, and there wasn't enough water like going down the falls. So we're like, oh, I figured that we wouldn't be running it, and they were like, no, let's send it anyways. So anyways, we hopped in the kayaks and literally just like sent it down all these rocks into this like huge pool of water. It was all safe and everything, but it was like so cool. There were some like wicked pictures and videos of it, and I was just like surrounded by a bunch of like really rad people. And yeah, it was just so cool, and I was so happy to have been there with those people in that like remote location, and figured that I would never be doing this back home. So yeah, I was very thankful for that moment. It was a core memory.
My favorite memory also has to do with AUCC, the kayaking club, is we went on another trip called Typhy River Rave. So it was, Lorelai was there as well. It was our first trip with the club, and it was in February, so we were camping for a couple nights in February, and it was freezing, but it was honestly kind of funny about how cold it was. It was just like absurd, but it was our first time, or my first time whitewater kayaking, and I was really, really proud of myself, and I was so supported by everyone in the club, and encouraged, and I don't think I've ever felt so like welcomed and encouraged and eager to do something new. That was scary, and it was super awesome, and it was a rave kind of thing at night, which was so fun. And then you'd wake up to all your new friends around you, just encouraging you to get out, and eating 30-pence baguettes every day for every meal. It was just nice. Like, it was just so fun. It made me appreciate it. We would sit on the rocks by the river and just like take in the sun and watch everybody go down and admire everyone, because there's some really good kayakers who take it really seriously, which was super cool. And it made me appreciate a new sport that I would never have done otherwise. So
Yeah, it's great that you all like really tried to push yourself out of your comfort zone and like build your own community, whether it be like you were saying is about like all the people around you and you had like your favorite coffee shop, or it was joining this club that you didn't have any connection to, but taking that chance anyway. I think that's a really big thing about being on exchange, is like trying to put yourself out there and push yourself beyond what you would normally do. Okay, so as we come to a close here, do you guys have any other aspect of your exchange that you'd like to share? Whether it be about like having other Guelph students with you because you guys all went to the same university at the same time, or just anything generally you like to share?
I would say if you're thinking about going to Wales, do it. It is amazing, especially Aberystwyth. It's so lovely, and the community of people there are just truly amazing. They have this saying, all roads lead to Aber, and they say Aber is the center of the universe. And I didn't really understand it when I first got there, and I totally do. Like, it's just, it really is a different place, and it was like a home away from home. Like, I found I was never uncomfortable there, or I thought I was gonna have that homesick feeling, and I never did. The people that I met there were so amazing and welcoming, and just kind of welcomed me in like I had known them forever, and I wasn't just like an exchange student that was going to be there for like a few months. They really welcomed me into their inner circles and the activities that they did. So it really is an amazing community. So if you're thinking about going, I'd put it high on your list.
Yeah, Aber was not like somewhere that I had considered going. All of my locations that were like in my top 5 outside of Aber were Scotland. I would say everything that happened to me on exchange, like I was out of my control. Before I left, tried to plan everything. I was like so anxious about like doing it wrong or making the wrong decision or picking the wrong place, or what if I get there and I do something that's going to make this not what I wanted. But I think like the biggest thing I took away from it was it's all going to work out, which is like really cheesy advice, but it really is. Like, I think it's such a beautiful place, and it's like a place that you really don't know that you're missing it until you go and you realize, wow, it just really sucks nobody else knows this is here, because this is really awesome. And it has like a charm and like almost like a magic that I don't think I felt anywhere else. Even when I was traveling all over Europe to all of those like famous big cities, I came back to Aber and it was like a feeling of comfort and home that was insane, that it was there when I'd only been there for like 3 months. So, and the most beautiful sunsets you'll ever see in your whole life. Nowhere else can ever compare. You should go to Aber. It's the best place ever.
I agree with those points. And I'd also like to add that there is a sauna right by the sea, and it's really nice. And there's a student discount as of probably now and when we were there. And it's awesome. And even if there isn't, you should still do it because it's amazing.
And occasionally Taron Egerton goes to that sauna. So if you're lucky, if you know who that is, if you're lucky, you'll see him.
Okay, yeah, you guys are definitely selling me on Aberystwyth. That's on my list now of places to go. Okay, so that is all we have for today for this podcast. Special thanks to our guests once again, Lorelei, and Isabel, for sharing their stories and advice. If you're looking for more information about studying abroad, you can go to our website, uofguelph.ca/CIP, or send us an email at cip@uofguelph.ca. You can stay tuned for our next episode, where we will look to unpack the study abroad experience further.